Hello guys, so we're in front of this Sherman tank. This is the M4A2E8 or the EC8 Sherman tank. This is the latest variant of the Sherman tank that was produced during the war. And the purpose of this video is for us to determine the thickness of the frontal armor of this Sherman tank. So you notice here there's a plate that is welded to this main hull of this tank. So our goal is to determine the thickness of the plate as well as the effective thickness of the frontal armor of this tank. So as you notice here, those are welding reeds over here that obscure the exact thickness of this steel plate that was welded on the main hull. So what happened is we are going to take the average width of this welding reeds divided it by 2. From there we can now determine or estimate the thickness of the steel plate that was obscured by these welding reeds. Okay, so what I did is I put a tape here so we can mark this up, so we are not going to put anything to the paint of this tank. Okay, now let's try to measure the exact width of the steel plate that was welded on this armor on the front of this Sherman tank. That's about 67.5 millimeter roughly, or about 2.65 inch. So that's 67.4 millimeter or 2.65 inch. Okay, knowing the exact thickness of the steel plate welded on this main hull of this Sherman tank, we can now determine the effective thickness of the frontal armor. So if the effective thickness is about 4 inch or 103.4 millimeter. If a projectile is striking the armor, it's like in this manner, it's going to encounter about 2.7 inch. But the thing is, usually in a battle, a projectile is going to strike the armor in this manner, so it's going to have to deal with thicker armor. Okay, so this is our final measurement. The actual thickness of the steel plate welded to the main hull of this Sherman tank is about 66 millimeter. So if a projectile is striking on this manner, it's going to encounter 66 millimeter of thickness. But the thing is, in actual battle, usually a projectile is going to strike it here, so it's going to encounter this much, about 104.2 millimeter. So that's the advantage of an angled armor. There's an advantage of making the frontal armor inclined. If you are going to decrease the angle of the frontal armor, it increases the effective thickness of the armor itself. But the thing is, if you make it further lower, what happens is it's going to affect the volume of the space inside the tank, which affects the convenience of the crew inside the tank. So there's a limitation to how much angle you can lower it down. For instance, the T-34 of the Soviet Army, the reason why they have a very cramped space inside the tank is because of the angling of the armor. Tank designer, they have to balance the protection of the crew inside the tank as well as their convenience. Otherwise, they might be building a tank that will maximize the protection of the crew, but the thing is, it's going to make the convenience of the crew worse inside the tank.